Alright, hey guys, and welcome back to another video and a brand new Battlefront 2 news update. And I'm really excited to be bringing you guys this one as we have a ton of changes to go over. Recently on Twitter within the last 24 hours and also on Discord, a few of the devs have been talking about some changes that could be coming to the game very soon, including hero changes to Darth Vader, Chewbacca, Iden, and some really interesting details to do with Leia's new abilities. And on top of that, we also now have a confirmed time of when we can expect Scarif to release into Battlefront 2 as a playable map. So with all that said, be sure to leave a thumbs up if you're excited for Scarif to drop into the game, and leave a comment down below letting me know what you think of Leia's other ability changes could be, because we're going to go over one in this video. Also be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon if you are new and want to stay up to date with all Battlefront 2 news, because I will keep you guys updated as much as possible throughout the coming months. Anyways, getting into it, we are going to start with the hero changes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to read over the tweets and give you guys my kind of thoughts on these changes and whether I think they're good or bad changes. So let's jump into it. The first change comes from the hero designer Guillaume, who of course is in charge of all the hero changes that happen in Battlefront 2, and he has tweeted out that Vader's choke damage reduction will be lowered from 75% to 20% for now, and they'll see if it needs to be removed after that change. Now, with Vader recently getting the ability to be able to block and attack while using force choke in the game, I think it was a really good change for them to do that, and obviously a lot of people thought he was overpowered still having the 75% damage reduction, which I 100% agreed with. While Darth Vader is using the choke ability, this is normally when he is most vulnerable, but having 75% damage reduction and the ability to block incoming blaster fire means the only time you can actually do any half decent damage from him is directly in his back. Now, even with the ability to do damage to his back, if he still has that 75% damage reduction with the force choke ability, this is going to make it minimal actual damage that you can do to him. So I think changing it down to 20% is a really good tweak that they've done, and they're definitely listening to the community because a lot of people have been requesting this change. Now, a lot of people did ask that it would be removed completely so he would have no damage reduction during this ability, but I think for now they're just going to test it at 20% to see how that goes, and if they need a change after that, then they will do so. I think it's a matter of balancing here, so bringing it down to 20% reduces the risk of kind of over nerfing that ability, and the fact that he's losing all of his damage reduction in one hit would just make him a little bit too vulnerable, even though you can only do damage from behind if you are blocking. So taking it down to 20% is probably the best thing for now, and then like they said, if it needs to be removed after that change, they can 100% do so. Moving on from Darth Vader, we're going to talk about some changes to Chewbacca. Now, there was a conversation out on Twitter again where Buff Chewbacca asked, are there any plans for Chewie? Josh responded with, Chewie doesn't need buffing, he's perfectly good as he is, he's great in HVV and very good in GA and CS, you just need to know what you're doing. Buff Chewie responded with, I agree in HVV he's great, but I see many players having difficulty in GA and CS with him. For me, it is most easy to deal with him on the dark side. And Guillaume stepped in here, who is of course the hero designer, and has said that his bowcaster will be seeing big changes soon. Now, we don't know specifically what kind of changes these are going to be, but in my opinion, I think maybe reducing the spread or changing the reticle or the way that the actual bowcaster fires will probably be the best change for Chewie. Now, if you take a look in The Force Awakens, if you remember when Han takes Chewie's bowcaster, or even when Chewie shoots Kylo in the side, this is one beam in a straight line and kind of just takes a big chunk out of the side of Kylo. I would really love to see this be one straight shot of a blast pulse from Chewie's bowcaster, but I don't know if that's going to be the change. That's just kind of my opinion on what it could be. The fact that we know he's seeing a big rework on this, which you'll see in the following comment, leads me to believe that they could actually change the way the bowcaster fires and behaves, as opposed to the current spread it's got on it now, whereas if you aim down sight, it does tighten up the spread a little bit, but maybe it could tighten it up to like one large pulse that does a large amount of damage. I'm not really sure again how it's going to work, but this is just my opinion on what it could be. Guillaume also went on to say that they're not sure of the release date yet, so obviously there's still a lot of planning and testing to do with the changes to Chewie's bowcaster. On top of Chewie's bowcaster, they're also looking at changes to Iden's pulse cannon and Boba's concussion rocket. They're not sure when these changes are going to be finished, but they are in progress. And for me, the pulse cannon is just not a viable ability. If you guys compare Iden's current pulse cannon to the pulse cannon from Battlefront 2015 that 9num used, that was 100% better than the one that Iden has now. The slow charge up time on Iden's pulse cannon really bothers me, and I find it really hard to use, and it's almost pointless when you have the alternate fire on her TL50. I think the TL50 is definitely the more viable option. Even at range, I think the secondary fire on the TL50 is going to be better than trying to use the pulse cannon, and it does take a lot of practice and a lot of time to get used to. So hopefully they can change it to have a shorter fire time and maybe change the actual aim down sight view, because it can be a little bit distracting. I think really if they just went back to the way it was in Battlefront 2015 with the small round circle in the middle, that would be the best change they could make to the pulse cannon and give it a shorter charge up time. As for Boba's concussion rocket, again, this is another controversial topic. It's probably one of the worst abilities in the game for any of the heroes. Sammy, Jazza and I spoke about this in a recent video, or at least touched on it, because we said Leia's squad shield was the worst ability in the game, but Sammy brought up a good point that Boba's concussion rocket was almost equally as useless unless you have the star card on that disables blasters. Now that star card is really unreliable and it doesn't always work the way it should, so I think this should be taken away as a star card and possibly even put down as just a standard effect of the concussion rocket. Now there could be a bunch of other ways to make this better. You could add damage to it or make it even harder to see when shooting it at an enemy. There are a ton of things that the team could do to this concussion rocket, but like I said, we have no word on what the changes are going to be, so maybe you guys can drop some comments down below on what you think the best change to the concussion missile would be for Boba Fett. Moving on from those heroes though, Guillaume also tweeted out that Leia's changes are being tested and they hope to release them soon. Now we do know that Leia is getting 3 changes to all of her abilities. One of them is going to be buffed, one is going to be tweaked, and one is going to be changed completely. And from the tweet you can see the Lego gif talking about thermal detonators, so this leads me to believe that Leia's flash grenade is going to be replaced with a thermal detonator, which I think is a really good change. Giving Leia some kind of ability that actually does damage other than the E11 is a really good idea. I think she needs some kind of explosive that can work through blocks of the dark side lightsaber heroes, because currently she's one of the only heroes that can't actually damage anyone through a lightsaber block without using her alternate fire. And you guys know her alternate fire does take a decent amount of time to charge up, so giving her something that can hit quick and through lightsabers will be a great addition to her loadout. With that said, I'm not really sure what the other 2 abilities are going to change. I would assume the E11 is going to get the buff, possibly tightening up the spread or increasing damage could be one of the options that they do for that. And then I really hope that the squad shield gets changed completely. I really think that's a pointless ability, and unless they allow the ability to fire out of it, it essentially becomes pointless in most situations unless you're playing the objective in the middle of Galactic Assault. Even then, it's not always super effective because it can block off your team from holding down the line, so I think giving the ability to shoot out of it would be the only tweak they could really make, unless they were planning to change it completely. So those are all the hero changes, guys. Let's talk about probably the biggest piece of news that we have gotten in recent times, which is the release of Scarif. And we do have an estimated time of when we can expect Scarif, thanks to community manager Ben Walk out on Twitter. Now, Sean asked Ben, is OT content still planned for February and then Scarif in March? And Ben just responded with this saying correct. So this is a really cool piece of news, guys. I am super excited for original trilogy content. I'm not a huge fan of capital supremacy, but being able to play the likes of Luke and Vader and all the original trilogy heroes in supremacy, I should call it now, is really exciting. And on top of that, we're going to get them for co-op as well. And then Scarif in March. Scarif was one of my favorite maps from Battlefront 2015, and I do actually have a video planned very soon on Scarif, so make sure you guys keep your eyes peeled for that one. But it's definitely, in my opinion, going to be a massive addition to the game. So many people in the community are excited for it, myself included, and I'm only hoping that they can add Scarif to Galactic Assault as well as Supremacy, because I feel like Galactic Assault is getting missed out on. And from my poll on my community tab recently, I can see that a ton of you guys have said you would play Galactic Assault way more often if they actually added more maps and more content to it. So make sure you guys share this video around to get as much exposure, showing that we want Scarif to come to GA. Drop comments, leave likes, do all of those good things so that we can get this seen and they can see the movement behind Galactic Assault and needing new content. Anyways, guys, that is everything we have for this video today. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'm super excited for the hero changes and the balancing tweaks that they've made, as well as Scarif coming in March. I'm sure you guys are very excited too, so let me know what you think down in the comments, and be sure to subscribe if you're brand new to the channel and want all of the Battlefront 2 updates coming in the future. Anyways, I am going to get out of here, guys. Thank you so much for watching again. I will see you all in the next video, and may the Force be with you always.
The Sith are all powerful. You are no match.